Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Dr. Sripriya. You're
Ma'am,
muted.
you.
Yes, Swati, we can start.
Okay. Very good evening to all the DJites. Welcome to our today's DJOGAN session, and maybe the last session for this tenure. And today's DJOGAN session is on from the DJOGAN protocols and guidelines module. We welcome you all for this very important and important discussion on the Tdap vaccination during pregnancy to be delivered by Dr. Shripriya Satyanarayan. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank
To
you.
begin the session, I would like to invite our President NOGS, Dr. Vedehi Marathi Madam, for her welcome address.
Yeah, thank you, Swati. Hello, everybody. Respected speaker of the day, Dr. Sripriya, and all my dear friends. I feel now this would be the last time I would be welcoming all of you on this Dijogan platform, a platform which really took the entire virtual world by storm. It won't be an exaggeration if I say that. Every time I would tell that we conduct Dijogan in the three modules, but now I'm just going to end up saying that we did conduct under three modules: the surgical skill, the guidelines, and the soft skills modules. The USP of our Dijogan was that we just had one topic, one speaker, and lots of Q&A and interaction. That was the USP of our Dijogan, and that is why I think it touched everyone's heart and we got so much popularity on this platform. The faculty were through the year were extraordinary. They were the authority in the field. So we had some nice academic discussions through the year and a lot of brainstorming as well. So it gives me really immense satisfaction as well, and it I feel it gives me a lot of gratification that as a team, whatever we could offer on the virtual platform in those difficult pandemic times when we could do nothing physically, this virtual platform was a boon to everybody. Everyone learned a lot. It was all basics and to our theme, basics and beyond. So we had tremendous buzz and activity through the year on this platform. It feels a little sad to say goodbye because goodbyes are never very easy. But we leave very soon on 31st of March. We leave this platform with a heavy heart, but with a lot of satisfaction that yes, we could offer and we could deliver something really nice for all our members, not only in Nagpur but all across India, and as well as many times we had international attendance as well. So uh, for the last time, I welcome you all once again, and we would be taking you early very soon on 31st of March. Probably, if we can accommodate one more DJ again. We're always happy to propagate knowledge. So let's hope we can do that. But for now, this is the last Dijogan on this on the in the VR world, and I have to really thank all of you for supporting us so much. You've really, I mean, इतना आप लोगों ने आशीर्वाद दिया है हमको, इतना support किया, इतना encourage किया है, so many messages through the year supporting us and complimenting us on the good work that we tried to do. So a big thank you from the bottom of my heart. This will stay with us forever. The VR team will remain indebted to all of you for all the support. So thank you so much, each and every one of you. Thank you, Dr. Sri Priya, for accepting our invitation to deliver this very important talk on Tdap vaccination during pregnancy, something which every gynecologist should know. So thank you once again, and I hand over the further proceedings to the chair, to the MOC, Dr. Swati. Dr. Swati?
Swati, are you there?
She got locked out or what?
Yeah, I think she got locked out.
Yes, Rajeshri, can you introduce today's
Yes,
speaker,
yes, I
please?
will. Yes, madam. Just a minute, please. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. It's a wonderful privilege to introduce today's faculty, Dr. Shri Priya Satyanarayan. She is currently holding the position as a medical advisor in medical affairs at Biological of GlaxoSmithKline Pharmaceuticals. She is a graduate from BJ Medical College, Pune, and has done her MBBS also from MUHS University, Nashik. She's done her DNB Pediatrics from NBE, National Board of Examinations. and has also done observership in Department of Medical Genetics at New York, Mount Sinai. We welcome you, ma'am, to deliver your lecture today on Tdap vaccination in pregnancy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this warm welcome. Uh, I'm grateful to be given this opportunity to present this important topic to you all. So today we are discussing on Tdap vaccination during pregnancy. So before I move, I just want to make sure that I'm audible and my slides are visible.
Yes, ma'am. Slides are visible and you're audible.
So again, let me see. So today we'll be talking about neonatal pertussis burden, the ideal time, need for maternal immunization, what is Boostrix, what is its formulation, what is the data we have in terms of safety, immunogenicity, and vaccine effectiveness, what are the various recommendations regarding Tdap vaccination during pregnancy, and finally the summary. So when we start with the pertussis, we all know what is pertussis, whooping cough, highly communicable respiratory infection caused by gram-negative bacteria Bordetella pertussis, and it is spread by airborne droplets or direct contact with nasopharyngeal discharges of an infected person. But what was commonly thought that pertussis actually is a disease only of childhood age, that we now know is no longer true. It can affect all age groups. It can affect right from newborns, infants, children, of course, adolescents, adults, and even elderly. So, when you're saying that's a highly contagious infection, how contagious is it really? So, one case can cause up to 12 to 17 new cases in an immune naive population. Now, this reproduction number of 12 to 17 is as high as that of measles and actually higher than what we see for influenza, mumps, polio, rubella, and smallpox. So, this is one of a very highly contagious infection. Now, when we talk about neonatal pertussis, and I said that it can affect all age groups, but when we talk of that, the characteristic whooping cough, the where the name gets it, where the disease gets its name, then whooping cough, that whoop is not present in all ages. It is typically present only in the childhood age group, which is why it was always thought that whooping cough occurs only in childhood age group. But when it comes to other age groups like newborns, young infants, adolescents, adults, the typical whoop is absent. So that becomes a big challenge in coming to a diagnosis in other age groups. But especially when it comes to neonatal pertussis, this is a very good systematic review which was published in Feb 2019. They've clearly identified that one, those varied clinical case definitions across age group is a big limitation in coming to an estimate of the actual disease burden. The non-specific clinical presentation in young infants where the whoop is absent and the baby can present with cough with or without paroxysm. So it can just be some cough without much of bouts, cyanosis, apnea, tachypnea, difficulty in breathing, and leukocytosis. I'm very sorry. So these are the big challenges when it comes to um, one, diagnosing neonatal pertussis, and two, in making records of the actual disease burden in the community, because we don't have a very good pertussis surveillance system like we do have for polio. Most of the other diseases we don't have a very robust surveillance system, and when it comes to making an accurate microbiological diagnosis, it PCR testing is a must. But we all know that PCR in general is not freely available throughout our country, as well as wherever it is available, it is usually available as a multiplex panel for most infections and tends to be very expensive. Now, why are we talking of these young infants, especially this neonates, this less than 2 months old, less than 3 months old? Why are we focusing so much on them? Because they are the ones at most risk for complications and hospitalization. 90% of infants under 2 months of age with pertussis require hospitalization. 75% of all pertussis related deaths, that is, if we take all deaths because of pertussis, 75% of them come under the age group of 2 months. So, this group is especially vulnerable to the disease, its complications, it's like pneumonia, seizures, encephalopathy, hospitalization, as well as mortality. Now, why? Why is this disease so? Why is this age group so vulnerable to the disease? When we look at our vaccination card, our first pertussis vaccine, the DTP vaccine, begins at 6 weeks of age. So from birth up to 6 weeks, the baby does not have adequate immunity, and we know actually that it takes at least 2 doses after the second, 2 weeks after the second dose for the baby to have had an adequate immune response. So until then, this baby is in a period of vulnerability. That is why when because of this immunity gap, these infants are not adequately protected in the first 2 months of life. Now, where are these infants getting this infection from? Obviously, the older people in the family. So, what happens is when we are vaccinating our children, the vaccine induced immunity lasts in the children for some years, but we know that there is a waning immunity. And this waning, because of this waning immunity, adolescents, adults, and elderly can harbor this disease and maybe symptomatically, maybe asymptomatically, but they become a reservoir of infection to transmit this disease to the young infant. And this age group is the one which sees the most complications and death. Now, who are the young adults and adolescents? Obviously, it's the family members for the newborn, mother, father, sibling, grandparent. But it is seen in various studies that mother is the most common source of infection for the newborn, which is not surprising. Mother is the most person who spends most time with the newborn. Now, when it comes to protecting these young infants, especially when it was seen during outbreaks, that these young infants, these less than 2 months, 3 months, were the ones bearing the brunt of the disease, different strategies were thought of to protect these young infants. The first one was adolescent and adult booster vaccination. So what this does, it is a programmatic booster vaccination for all adults and adolescents in the community, so that in general there is herd immunity and the disease transmission comes down. But we know the challenges when it comes to having a mass vaccination drive. The second option was cocooning. That is, we are providing vaccination to all those adults and adolescents in the family who will come into contact with the newborn. So we know that when we know that a lady is pregnant, so at least 2 weeks before her delivery, all the adults and adolescents in the family will get the vaccine shot. This strategy is still being followed in some countries like Australia. But the challenge with this strategy is that for one baby, the whole family needs to be vaccinated. And even then, even if there is one single person, unvaccinated person, who comes and introduces the disease to the baby, that means the cocoon is broken, the protective nest is broken. So this is a big challenge with the strategy of cocooning. The third strategy which was seen was maternal immunization, that is giving the pregnant lady a vaccine. And this has been seen to be a highly effective strategy in protecting infants from pertussis. Now, how does it help? How does vaccinating the mother help? One, because we are vaccinating the mother, the antibodies in the mother increases. So this vaccination boosts the maternal antibodies. And these maternal antibodies are transported across the placenta and provide immunity to the newborn. So these antibodies are transplacentally transferred to the fetus, which remain in circulation even after the baby is born for the first few weeks of its life. And that way, the baby gets some passive immunity and remains protected until he or she can be vaccinated on his own. Now, this transplacental transfer of antibodies is generally linear as per gestational age. So yes, when during initial few weeks of pregnancy, there is no transfer of antibodies. These antibodies this transfer starts at week 13. By week 17 to 22, the antibodies in the fetus is about 5 to 10% of maternal levels. At week 28 to 32, it is 50%. But at week 32, there is active transport that begins. So by full term, the antibody levels in the newborn exceed the maternal levels by 20 to 30%. So there is the most largest amount of transfer of antibodies occurs in the third trimester, which is why we'll see that most recommending bodies recommend during third trimester, specifically between 27 to 36 weeks of gestational age. Why 27 weeks? We are seeing that the transplacental transfer is exceeding starting to increase from week 28. And why 36? Because we want to give at least 4 weeks before the baby is born so that the mother's antibody levels are boosted and these are transferred to the baby. Now, coming to Boostrix, Boostrix is GSK's Tdap vaccine, which is a reduced antigen tetanus diphtheria pertussis vaccine. So, in contrast to the DPT vaccine that we give children, that is a full dose vaccine. But these full dose vaccines, if we are giving to anyone above 7 years of age, there is a high reactogenicity, which is why anyone above 7 years of age is given the reduced antigen content, that is the reduced, what we write as Tdap, reduced antigen tetanus diphtheria and acellular pertussis. So you'll see that except T, all the other alphabets are written in small letters. So coming to data, especially regarding the safety, immunogenicity and vaccine effectiveness, when it comes to safety profile, there are ample studies to show that Tdap vaccination during pregnancy has a suitable safety profile. So if we start with one study in US where 1229 women received Tdap vaccine more than once in consecutive pregnancies within 5 years gap, what it was seen that antepartum Tdap vaccination does not lead to excessive pregnancy related morbidity even with repetitive dosings in serial pregnancies. Another study, this is done in Argentina. Now, Argentina is a country that had a huge outbreak of pertussis, and there was a high case fatality rate, especially in newborns and young infants. So, this country included Tdap vaccination during pregnancy in their national immunization protocol. So, during the period of 2012 to 2014, more than 12.5 lakh doses were administered, and this vaccine demonstrated a suitable safety profile. There was no serious adverse effects or fatalities reported. Now, coming to another study in New Zealand, this was a good study which had studied 8,000 women who were given Boostrix between 28 to 38 weeks of gestation, and they were compared to a matched control of 60,000 women. What was seen was that there was no increase in any of the primary outcomes like maternal eclampsia, preeclampsia, gestational hypertension, fetal growth restriction, postpartum hemorrhage, or preterm labor in women who receive Boostrix. Now we come to another study done. This is a phase 4 observer blind randomized crossover placebo controlled study. This was a multi-center study. This was done to assess the immunogenicity and safety of Boostrix when it was given in the third trimester to pregnant women. Now our primary objective with this study was to assess whether Boostrix elicits superior levels of antibodies when superior levels of antibodies in the cord blood of babies when compared to a control group. And the secondary objectives were to look for safety and reactogenicity concerns as well as immunogenicity concerns. So when this post-vaccination, when the 1 month post-vaccination, when we are taking the antibody levels of both the vaccine group as well as the control group. So the Boostrix group here is shown in dark purple and the control group is shown in the light purple. Right? And we are seeing day 0 antibody levels at day 0, and then the next set of bars we are seeing 1 month post-vaccination, day 30. So when we are comparing the Boostrix and control group, clearly we are seeing that there was a the high titers of antibodies in the vaccinated group compared to the control group. Now, when we looked at the cord blood of the infants born from these mothers, again, when we compare the Boostrix group and control group, we are seeing that there was a 9 times higher antibody GMC levels of the Boostrix group compared to the control group. When we look for safety concerns, similar for parameters that were of importance, especially during pregnancy, like IUGR, preeclampsia, pregnancy-related hypertension, PROM, preterm birth, small for gestational age, intrauterine hemorrhage, what we are seeing is that the rates in both the groups, that is the vaccine group as well as the control group, were similar. And that's why there was similar frequency reported, and there was no any specific adverse event related to pregnancy, interest related to pregnancy seen in the vaccine group. Less than 5% of each group reported any pregnancy or neonatal related AESI. So this study concluded that vaccinated women had more than 9 times higher antibody levels in the vaccine arm compared to the control arm, and the cord blood of these vaccinated mothers also had more than 9 times higher antibody levels. So, and when we look at the safety concerns, there was no increased risk of any adverse effect outcome even on the mother or infant, which is consistent with the well-established safety profile of Boostrix in general population. Now we look at effectiveness. What do we mean? That is, of course, everyone is now familiar with terms of efficacy and effectiveness, but this is a measure of whether uh, this vaccine is supposed to do what is doing what it's supposed to do. So, how well is it protecting the newborns against pertussis? So, there were 3 studies from UK, Spain, and Australia where Boostrix was given between 27 to 36 weeks. And what we see is that in the UK study, vaccine effectiveness in infants less than 3 months of age was 88%, 91% in Spain, and 69% in Australia. Now, in this Australian study, we also see that the vaccine effectiveness was 94% against hospitalization in infants less than 6 months of age. That is, it provides better protection against the more serious form of the disease. Now, last, when we come to global and local recommendations, there are several recommendations for Tdap vaccination during pregnancy. We start with US ACOG has clearly stated that all pregnant women must be given a Tdap vaccine between 27 to 36 weeks. UK RCOG has also stated that also has recommended that pregnant women should receive a dose of Tdap during each pregnancy. WHO has also stated that this is one of the most cost-effective additional strategy for preventing disease in infants. When we look at our Indian recommendations, FOXI has stated Tdap should be administered during pregnancy in order to provide optimal protection to the baby during its first months of life. This comes with the strength of recommendation A. IAP, because it's the pediatricians who see the disease in the newborn, have also stated that 1 dose of Tdap vaccine to pregnant mothers or adolescents during pregnancy, preferred during 27 through 36 weeks of gestation, should be given regardless of number of years from prior TD or Tdap vaccination. Over 40, actually now it's even higher, 45 countries recommend Tdap vaccination during pregnancy. Last, when this is all finally, these are all good data points to have, but what are the factors that influence the actual implementation of this maternal immunization? This is a very good literature review that has studied what are the factors, and the most common factor was safety concerns about efficacy and or necessity, lack of knowledge about target disease, no recommendation from healthcare worker, and lack of access to vaccine services. These have been the factors that have influenced the uptake of maternal immunization. So if you see, a major factor is a recommendation by their healthcare worker, and what is also seen is when the recommendation comes directly from the obstetrician, the odds of vaccination are 5 to 50 folds higher. So your recommendation, your advocacy for this vaccine is key in order to provide protection to the newborn during its first few weeks of life. To summarize, burden of pertussis in neonates is significantly under-recognized. Boostrix offers 3-in-1 protection during diphtheria against diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. FOXI has recommended Tdap must be given during pregnancy. Several other recommending bodies like ACOG and RCOG recommend Tdap during pregnancy, and your recommendations are the most influencing factor for vaccination. So with this, I come to the end of presentation. I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Yeah. Ma'am, can you just can you stop sharing the screen, please? Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. This was a really very simple, clear, crystal clear with very clear take-home messages for all of us. And I think it cleared a lot of our doubts as well about Tdap vaccinations. If there are any questions, I request all of you to please post in the chat box. We will be very happy to take them up. I think the topic was so well elucidated that hardly anyone has any questions. Yeah, it's Dr. Archana, can you rephrase the question, please? She said it's single dose. If single dose is needed, then second dose we should give as, don't know, if you can just see in the chat box, Dr. Sripriya,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
can understand what she
can-
means to ask.
Yeah. So that's a very good question actually, because in India the recommendation is for 2 doses of TT. So Foxy in its 2014 paper had stated that you can replace the second dose of TT with Tdap. So the Tdap also of course contains tetanus, and now we are moving more actually towards TD, the tetanus diphtheria. So the first dose you can give the TD, and the second dose you can switch to Tdap, preferably between 27 through 36 weeks of gestational age. I see another question.
Yeah, there's one more question.
Yeah.
What if the woman already has received a dose of TT? How will it affect the schedule of TDAP?
So let me just share my screen again, because there is a very good slide I had on this. So this is a very common question, because in our country most women receive TT right in the first trimester. There was a study conducted in Thailand, where it was a prospective study where pregnant women were given Boostrix between 26 to 36 weeks of gestational age. And in this cohort, there were 60 women who had already received 2 doses of TT in the same pregnancy, after which they received Boostrix. So what was seen was that even in these women, and if I remember right, there was one woman who had received 3 doses, but these 60 women also who had already received 2 doses of TT and then received Boostrix, there was no increase in any severity or duration of any adverse event. Swelling, redness were infrequent, generally resolved within few days.
And is there any local make of Boostrix which is cheaper?
I'm not sure I can answer that, but right now we have, so Tdap vaccine comes from GSK, is it's manufactured in Belgium, and it's available in India.
Yeah. Any comments about flu vaccine, ma'am?
So flu vaccine, yes, flu vaccine is also one of the recommended vaccines during pregnancy. Sorry, let me just share my slide again. I had a good slide on this as well. Yeah. Yeah, so a common question is about whether it can be co-administered with flu vaccine. So there was a retrospective study done in US where 8,000 plus women had received both the vaccines in the same sitting concomitantly, and they were compared to 28,000 women who received in 2 different sittings, that is one after the other, in 2 different clinic visits. So what was seen was that when these 8,000 women, 8,464 women who received the vaccines, both the vaccines concomitantly, there was no increased risk of fever or any medically attended adverse event compared to those who received in 2 different settings.
Okay. Here's one more question. How to counsel for the same? Dr. Suman, what do you want to know about counseling? Please post your question again. Why isn't the government including it in their protocol and make it available at the cheaper rate? Can you answer that question?
Again, I'm not one to, I don't think I'm the
Correct.
right person
Yeah,
to
yeah.
comment on
Right,
government
right.
protocols, but we do see that they do update, and
Right.
in pediatric vaccination, they do update. So right now, why isn't it included is a question for them.
Right. Right. If we already received 2 doses of TD in third and fourth month, then can TDAP be given?
So yeah, the Thai study that I was referring to, in that actually there was, of course, this number is very small. There was one woman who had received both 2 doses of TT and then received Boostrix. But in general, what would happen is this would be a third dose of tetanus and diphtheria, but still a first dose of pertussis. Uh, so yeah, I mean, the recommendation is only 2 doses. However, if there is no Tdap vaccine given, then that means there is no protection against pertussis.
Yeah, but can it be given? If they have received
We
two
don't
doses
have
of TD, then can we
actually
give the third dose of STD?
Yeah, so the Thai study forms a good this for saying that there is no increased safety concern, but as such there is no recommendation to give 3 doses. So ideally 1 dose of TD should be given and then followed with the Tdap vaccine.
Okay. One question was a practical difficulty. She just wants to know how to convince the patients as this is a costly vaccine.
That's a good question, Dr. Suman. So I would say that, at the cost, at this outset, the cost of the vaccine always seems higher, even in pediatric practice. But what is important is the child's health, the newborn's health. If suppose the child does develop some disease, if you just want to compare the cost, forget all the other factors about newborn having any disease, but needing hospitalization, especially in the first few weeks after birth, comparing all those costs, definitely this cost will seem much lower. And now we are actually moving towards more and more vaccination during pregnancy. Now we have the flu vaccine, we have Tdap vaccine. There are some vaccines being studied for future, specifically for newborns, so that newborns are protected right at birth. So this is a developing sphere. And yeah, initially this cost would seem like a big factor, but once it is accepted that this is actually a preventive cost, and this is saving on so much more difficulties later on, that would be a good point to convince patients.
Yeah. And if the first dose of TD is given in the first trimester, when to give the Tdap dose?
So the minimum difference between 2 doses of TD, any two tetanus containing vaccines, is 4 weeks, but there is no maximum difference. So even if the first dose has been given early on, the second dose can be given in the 27 to 36 weeks gestational window.
Yeah, so that answers the next question as well. When Dr. Jakera has asked, can we give the first dose of TT at 20 and the second dose of Tdap at 30 weeks? So as since there is no
So even
maximum.
within 27 to 36 weeks gestational window, it is recommended to give it early on between 27 to 30 weeks, so that we are not missing out any vaccination and there is preterm births. Let's say we plan it for later in the after 30 weeks, and suppose the woman delivers by then. So that opportunity is not lost. It's recommended that even in the 27 to 36 week window, to recommend earlier between 27 to 30 weeks.
Okay. So how many weeks of difference between the two doses you already answered just now? Ideal time to give Tdap if first dose of TT is taken at 5 months.
Um, so again, it's a similar question. So
Similar question.
The
Yeah.
ideal timing always remains between 27 to 36 weeks.
Okay. And again, the same thing. If Tdap given in trimester 1, then repeat dose of Tdap is required.
No.
Same
So
thing.
for some reason, if for any reason Tdap has been given earlier in the pregnancy, in the same pregnancy, repeat dose is not required in the same pregnancy.
Yeah. Okay, I think that we are at the end of the Q&A. There are no more questions. Yeah, I don't find any questions right now. Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Sripriya. That was really wonderful. Over to you, Dr. Rajasi.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, Dr. Sri Priya, for that wonderful and lucid talk on Tdap vaccination in pregnancy.
Thank you so
This
much.
generally remains a gray zone where we have lot of discussions and confusion always. But the way you have put it, each and every point clarified very smoothly and simply. Thank you so much for that. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
the question and answer session was very interactive and it helped
Yes.
all our participants
Yes.
bust all their myths also. Thank you once again to GSK Pharma, their education partners for today's session. And most of all, thank you so much to all our participants who have logged in as always and supported and encouraged us all year through. It's only because of your support that DGO GAN has become such a wonderful success. And as Madam already said, it's with a heavy heart that we would be saying a farewell today, being our last DGO GAN of the tenure. But all your love and all your messages and your feedbacks and interactions will stay in our hearts forever, long after this tenure has been done and handed over. So thank you all, and signing out for the evening. Have a good evening, all of you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. That was good. We've had one session long back in the initial few months of our tenure. So I was wondering again a repeat TDAP, but then we are a good audience today as well. So there are always a few people who have not attended the previous sessions, so they want to know.
Thank you so
So
much.
thank you.
Very
Thank you
good
so
session.
much. क्या स्वाति? तो म्यूटेड है. देखो मैंने co-host बनाया था, तो म्यूटेड है.
वो बीच में लॉग आउट हो गई थी मैम एक्चुअली.
हाँ,
सम
मैंने उसको फिर
नेटवर्क
से
इश्यूज.
या बट आई अगेन मेड द co-host ना, उसके बाद वो लॉगिन हुई तो.
I was wondering पूरे साल में कभी मेरा ड्रॉप नहीं हुआ. In the last session itself.
एंड में तेरा जैसे तू गायब है, मैं समझी तेरा नेटवर्क गया वहां से. फिर से गया,
ओहो,
फिर से फ्रीज हो गई थी तेरी इमेज.
फिर से गया. Yes, ma'am. Yes. I don't know what है कुछ.
Good. My God, really can't believe, yeah, we are at the end of the tenure.
So finally, it's the last session now.
तो सेटिंग्स चेंज कर दे. डॉक्टर दमानी मैम वगैरह सब लोग हैं आज.
हाँ, ma'am.
थैंक यू दमानी मैम.
Ma'am,
डॉक्टर सुमन मैम, थैंक यू.
आप कर दीजिएगा.
नहीं हो रहा है? ओके.
I'm not the co-host right now. Actually, मैं log out
तो मैंने 2 बार किया co-host.
अच्छा.
ठीक है, मैंने कर दिया. तो अनम्यूट कर सकते. ऑल ऑफ यू कैन अनम्यूट नाउ. द settings are changed. Thank you, Damani ma'am. As always, through the year, every Digio Gyan, thanks for being there every time for us. Thanks, Pooja, Dr. Pallavi, everyone, each one of you, you've been there with us through this very beautiful journey of Digio Gyan. The VR world we never imagined. We just kind of started doing it from the day one, and how it has evolved so beautifully, really. So that one speaker, one topic, one faculty, and lots of interaction, really, I know it hit. It was a hit. Everybody wanted that, because the session, the talk would be for around 40 minutes, but the question answers would go on for 2 or 3 hours. I remember a few sessions. We used to start at 4 o'clock and we ended at 8 o'clock just for one topic. So 4 hours of intense academic discussions.
Sir ka to ma'am, it went on till 9:30.
Suresh sir was not even ready. Okay, no problem, I'll answer. So his session to lasted for 5 hours.
Yes.
So it was simply wonderful. So thank you to each one of you. We won't be now bothering you with those multiple broadcast messages of Digio Gyan. Time to join, time to log in quick. Tomorrow the sessions, all those messages. I'm sure you all will miss all of us again, and we will miss you all too. So thanks once again. Have a good day, good evening. Hoping to see you all soon, sometime physically, maybe in AICOGs, probably in Indore. So we can have a small Digio Gyan get together there on some platform.
Ma'am, one last reminder that all our sessions have been uploaded on the nogs.in website. So
all Digio Gyans.
Sorry?
Yes, all Digio Gyans have been now uploaded.
All the Digio Gyans. So one reminder, so whenever you wish to listen to any of the lectures conducted under Digio Gyan, you can go to nogs.in and watch them. Yeah. Ma'am, okay.
Actually, our website is almost uploaded completely now. So we have our guidelines, protocols, Noogle, YouTube videos, and lots more interesting stuff for everybody. So please do visit our website and our Facebook page.
Yes. Only the last, our annual conference and the workshop is yet to be uploaded. Almost all other sessions are now done there, uploaded there, and you can go and watch, have some revision sessions. Everything is there, permanently there. Also, I would like to tell you that we had launched NOGS Ki Pathshala. So that was an NOGS school of the members, by the members, for the members, but also for all of you. So we have 3 tabs under NOGS Pathshala. So it is obstetrics, gynec, and miscellaneous, wherein we have ultrasound and infertility and medical legal. So what we've done under the NOGS Pathshala tab is we have uploaded all teaching videos of all the procedures, common procedures and surgeries of OBGYN and obstetrics and infertility and ultrasound. So do go through that tab as well. These are recordings apart from DigiOgan, and I'm sure you'll have a great time watching them. A lot of learnings there. Some good surgeries you can watch in all our videos, all procedures and protocols, and lots of drills as well are there uploaded on the NOGS ki Pathshala platform on the tab. Okay, so please, we request you. We'll send you a message also on the broadcast list at how to access, and we'll give you a link there as well. So website will be there. There's a question. You don't have to pay. We have all through the year, the learning has been free and for everyone. It was just not restricted to Nagpur's members. So the website is open to all of you. Now no one has to pay anything. It's all there for you to learn. We always wanted to spread knowledge. That has been our motto. And somehow, at least we feel that we could achieve that aim successfully to a certain extent. And that will be there. Our memories would be there permanently inked on our website in the form of DigiOgan and NOGS ki Pathshala. And as Dr. Rajyasree told you, that we have lots of awareness videos there that we created, and our members have done some awareness videos on some social subjects. Even those are available on the website. So we'll never stop. Yes, someone said you all will never stop. No, we won't. So this will continue. So thank you so much, Dr. Khare ma'am. Thanks for being there each and every time. Yeah, the website is nogs.in. Swati or I'll just say anyone of you can just post the link to our website.
I already did, ma'am. I posted it. www.nogs.in. I just posted. So on that website, you have different tabs, and you guys can just check on any of those tabs. We have publications, we have DigiOgan, we have other social videos, everything you can find out for yourself.
Yes, all our publications almost are there uploaded. A few are left, which will be done in 2 to 3 days time. So we published, all through the year, we published 2 major publications. One was a guidelines protocol booklet, where we compiled guidelines and protocols on various important topics. Like the first volume was on first trimester revisited. So all issues related to first trimester, we compiled the guidelines and protocols in that volume. Subsequently, we had around 7 have been released, and the last 8 and 9 on gynecological issues will be released in 2 days time. And there was another very, very important publication, that is Noogle, NOGS ka Google. That means it's a educational handouts for patients on various important topics that we require. Like we have to do so much of counseling during our clinics and our consultation. So we have, taken out, we have given you ready printouts on important issues. You can just have to take a printout and give it to a patient. Something like even for vaccination in pregnancy, we have a volume dedicated to investigations and vaccination in pregnancy. They are available in 3 languages, English, Hindi, and Marathi, because we belong to Maharashtra. So the PDFs are available on the website. Just download and print for your patients. So it's free for everybody, no payments. It's free for all. Yeah. Any more questions? Thank you, Dr. Sudha Rani. Really value this update, this feedback from you. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Okay. I think we've updated about academics.
Yeah. After time to log in, now it's time to log out.
Log out, yes. So DigiOgan and the VR world will be there permanently on our website. Please keep visiting our website, so you'll get all the updates there as well. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Until
ma'am.
next time, maybe physically at Indore, AICOG. Hoping to see you all very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Chal, bye, Swati, for the last time. अपना DigiOgan के बाद बातें.
Yes.
अब no more बातें. अभी phone पे.
Yes. Bye, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye, Raj.
Yes.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.